My goal for this is to make really high quality panels that really stand out but aren't expensive and don't require a ton of work or really a lot of material cost as well. So all this stuff I was able to buy on Amazon. And I'm just using just like adhesive, which is essentially just like Elmer's glue that's like pH balanced so it won't damage any of the artwork. And I'm applying it undiluted onto the actual wood, and then I have in this cup some more diluted glue, so it's just glue with a bit of water. And I'm making sure it's very concentrated and strong because I'm going to be gluing these two pieces of wood together. And I'm doing this just to give it extra strength. And so I'm kind of crossing the grain of the wood to basically create a sort of like makeshift plyboard that will make it even stronger than just the individual pieces. And so I'm making sure I got it all along the edge, and that I'm very liberal with the glue. And then after I spread it all out, I'm going to be sandwiching them together and then putting a large book on it and pressing it in order to keep it flat while the glue dries. Now I found that there was a few times where I had to readjust the book because of the glue. It kind of made it a bit slick in between the two pieces until it started to dry up a little bit. And so you might need to watch and make sure the books aren't shifting at all until the glue starts to take shape. But I'm just kind of going around pressing it down and then using my finger to kind of smooth out the glue that's kind of pushed over through the edge. And this is also a good way to kind of seal off the edges and get it more to be like a single piece of wood bonded together. And now I'm taking after it's dried, and it's not yeah, it's like fully dried. I'm just taking the glue that has a bit of water added into it. I'm not really measuring any specific ratio. I just want it to be a slightly thinner. And I'm going to be applying it liberally so it's everywhere on the surface, but I don't want it to be too like chalked up with paint like how or with the glue like how it was when I was bonding the piece together. I want to have it be a bit more even and thoughtful with applying it because I'm going to be applying the linen directly onto that. So if there's like big globs of paint, those are going to come through the linen. You're going to see those big globs on the dried surface. So I'm using it's already prepared. It's Belgian linen and it's oil primed Belgian linen canvas, and it's quite fine weave. This stuff it's Centuron. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it at maybe Blick sells it. I'm not sure, but you can find it around. It's not like hard to find. But I'm using 11 by 14 piece. This covers my 10-inch diameter circle very nicely. And this ends up being around like $4 a page. If you use or a sheet, if you use like 8 by 10, I think it's about $3. And so they have different sizes. So it's the final product of this will be much cheaper than maybe like the $10 to $15 it would require to get a prepared hard rigid surface to paint on that size. So now I've ordered a custom wood burner on Amazon just with my logo that I made, and I'm testing it out here on some a mistake piece of wood I made, and making sure it's hot enough because you really only got one shot once you're doing it on the real thing. And so I found it takes a little bit of kind of getting used to, but I found the best way is just to let it rest and just use the pressure of the actual metal to burn into it. I've left it on here a little longer than I would have liked to, but it's still fine. Here's kind of a more close up on another version of it. It's super fun to do, and really personalizes it. And then you never have to worry about anyone losing your business card because it's always your website's always on the back of that. So now I'm sealing it off so that it's water resistant and it will also help protect it more from warping. So I'm using amber shellac and I'm using a mostly empty bottle on my right as kind of a mixing vessel. And so I've added shellac and a bit of pigment. Not very many people know this, but you can actually add pigment into your shellac, and it will kind of fall out. You kind of have to mix it up to keep it suspended in the shellac, but you can totally it's totally archival, and you can manipulate and change the color of the shellac to however you want. So this is really cool because I can kind of tone the wood while sealing it at the same time. It just gives more personalization. So I've kind of added a bit of just like a raw umber into it, and then it's already a bit colored with the amber color, so it makes this kind of nice slightly reddish brown hue that I can essentially tone and seal off the wood at the same time. and I can go right over the burned wood. It's the emblem. It's completely fine to do that. And so this is just going to make it even more solid. You can see little spots. That's the PVC glue that I added on. It's kind of resistant to the shellac, but the PVC is also water resistant, so it's more of just an aesthetic thing. If you're a bit more careful than I am, like, you'll avoid that altogether. So now I'm putting the imprimatura. So this is the linen side that I'll be painting on, and you can kind of do this any color you want. But I found I usually use very natural or simple things, but the one kind of exception to that is I love the Liquin original for just adding a little bit into the imprimatura, because I find that it dries really fast. It seals off the surface, not too much, but enough that it's easier to work with. And if I'm drawing on the surface before painting, if I use other stuff or anything, if I use any terps whatsoever, it's just going to pull off that pigment when I'm drawing on it. I see this happen all the time at the academy with people using charcoal, and you have this really ugly, like, white area kind of around the drawing marks where you've kind of like stripped it from the pigment from the surface. And so this seals it off enough, and it dries super fast to the point where you can draw on it. Like, I'll draw on this with a mechanical pencil, and you can erase it with a hard or kneaded eraser, and it won't pull up the pigment, and it won't create this like really ugly effect that you can always paint over, but it just keeps it clean and more organized. Okay, so this is the finished product. I did a big batch in a lot of different sizes. All of them are easier to make than the circle. The circle is kind of the hardest because it requires you to cut a bit more precisely. But you can see I got my logo, the shellac, so it's protected from warping. It's nice cradled. All these are cradled except for the circle one, which is the two pieces put together. But they all fit. You know, you can buy, this is 10-inch, you can buy 10-inch circular frames. All these is 9x12, 5x7, I believe. And then this is 12x16, I think. Yeah. So they're all sizes you can buy frames for. And I have, oh, this was a mistake. So you can see it takes a little bit of practice to get the wood burning right, but yeah, I just kind of played around with a lot of different colors. There's really no right way to do the colors. It's just kind of whatever works for you, as long as you kind of have some sort of strategy for it. But I've got my website linked to that, but I think these look very professional. I'm really excited to give these a try.